Once upon a time, in a small village, long ago, there lived two brothers. The elder brother was blind, so he spent most of his time at home, while the younger brother worked as a farmer. However, their farm was constantly being destroyed due to the large number of animals in the fields. The younger brother was upset by this problem, but he finally came up with a solution. Then he thought and said, "Why don't I ask my blind brother for help to scare the animals? In the fields, he can sit in the field and scream if he hears any animal sounds. In this way, the crops will be saved." After thinking about it, the younger brother built a small hut in the field and put the elder brother inside it. He explained to him and said, "Brother, if you hear any animal sounds, just scream, and the animals will run away. This will save our crops." The elder brother agreed to his younger brother's idea and started sitting in a field. Whenever he heard the sound of animals, he would scream and scare them. They continued this practice for several days. Once, there was a field through which a deer passed. It broke the fence and ran away. After a short while, a king who was also chasing the deer came to the field and noticed the presence of the blind brother. Asked him, "Did you see a gazelle pass by?" The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, I am blind. How can I see a gazelle? But I can tell that the animal that left my field is not worth chasing. You are wasting your time." The king was surprised by the blind brother's words and wondered how he knew that. The king asked the blind man if he was lying as he claimed to be blind. The blind man replied, "My lord, the animal you think is a gazelle is actually a pregnant goat. I have never heard of a king hunting a pregnant goat, so I tell you that it is not worth chasing. You should not waste your time chasing it." The king was surprised upon hearing that and could not understand how the blind man could tell that the goat was pregnant. He thought, how can a blind person know that? How can he be sure that the goat is pregnant or not? How can he tell me this information with confidence despite being blind? The king felt the need to verify the blind man's words and therefore instructed the captain of the guards, "I want this animal alive, and I need to confirm whether the goat is actually pregnant or not. It seemed that the blind man, I am very sure of this, and I need to investigate. Please go and find out if she is really pregnant." The leader received the king's orders to implement it. When he returned, he told the king that the blind man was right and that the gazelle was really pregnant. The king was filled with astonishment and could not figure out how the blind man knew about the gazelle's pregnancy. Many questions came to the king's mind, so he decided to ask the blind man to come and get to the bottom of this view. When they met, the king said to the blind man, "I do not know whether you are really blind or not, but I came to ask you one thing. Will you give me the correct answer to my question?" The blind man replied, "Your Majesty, you can ask me anything you want, and I will answer you." The king said, "You are a wise man, and it seems that you have a deep understanding of many things. Today, I have brought you to find out if my wife is faithful to me or not." The blind man replied, "Your Majesty, what kind of question are you asking? Your marriage has lasted for many years, and now you want to know such things. Why do these questions come to your mind?" The king insisted, "You must answer me this question. If you do not provide me with an answer, I will punish you with death." When he heard the king's threat, the blind man said, "Your Majesty, if you want to answer this question, you will have to do something important for me." The king asked, "Tell me what I should do." The blind man replied, you will have to leave your wife alone, with me in a room." The king was angry at first when he heard that, but he finally agreed to the request and ordered his commander to leave the blind man and the queen alone in the room. At that moment, the blind man expressed his desire to touch the queen. Upon hearing that, the queen became angry and started beating the blind man with her hands and feet with all her strength. After that, the blind man somehow managed to escape. The blind man went to the king and said to him, "Your Majesty, your wife is unfaithful." The king became angry and drew his sword and went to the queen. The king then asked her a question, warning her that any lie would lead to her execution. He asked her if she was faithful or not. The queen replied, "Your Majesty, you may kill me, but I am not faithful." The king felt extremely happy because everything the blind man said it right. Upon hearing that, the king immediately went to the blind man and asked him, "How did you know that my wife was not faithful?" The blind man simply replied, "Your Majesty, your wife told you so. I wanted to touch her, and she became so angry that she started hitting me. When I told her that I wanted to touch her, she could have refused, but instead, she started hitting me. And in the process, she touched my entire body. How can such a woman be faithful?" The king said, "You are very wise." Then another question came to the king's mind. He said, "Okay, let's continue. I want another question from you, and I want a correct answer, and let you go from here." Then the king asked, "Tell me, am I really my father's son or someone else?" The blind man replied, "Your Majesty, why do you bother with this question regardless of your parents? You are the king of this country, so leave this question." But the king insisted, "I want the exact answer to this question. This question always bothers me, so I want to know the truth." The blind man replied, "Your Majesty, I can tell you now who you are, but before that, I want you to promise me that you will not get angry with me." The king said, "I promise you that I will not be angry with you." The blind man said to the king, "You are indeed your father's son, but you are also under the shadow of a miserly merchant." Upon hearing that, the king ran to his mother and asked her, "Please tell me the truth. Am I really my father's son or someone else's son? If you do not tell me the truth, I will give up my life for this." The king's mother said, "My son, you are indeed your father's son, but you are also under the shadow of a miserly merchant." When the king heard this, he was delighted and immediately returned to the blind man and asked him how he knew the shadow of the miserly merchant. The blind man replied, "My lord, you have asked me many questions, and I have given you the correct answers to all of them. If it were another king, I would have received many rewards by now, but you have not given me a single penny so far. From this, I can tell that you are very miserly." The king burst out laughing and said, "Whatever it is, if you ask me, I will give it to you. But tell me, how do you know right from wrong? How can you give such precise and coordinated answers to these questions?" The blind man said, "Your Majesty, I am blind by nature, but I have an easy way of understanding that. I can easily understand anyone's thoughts. The mind has its own language, and this language can be seen in the actions of a person's body by observing a person's eyes, lips, way of working, and activities. You can understand what is going on in a person's mind. Based on that, we can know anyone's thoughts, but I am blind. So I understand through actions if I want to know something. I have to assign a task to the next person to see how this person works. and how he does the task, and based on that I can understand what is going on in his mind. The king asked, "Does this mean that I can also know someone's thoughts about this matter?" The blind man said, "Of course, you can also understand anyone's thoughts. But before that, you have to work on yourself. This work is to calm your mind and bring your mind to the present. Focus your mind. When we focus our minds and integrate our minds in the present, we can understand the thoughts of others because this person is thinking in the present. We also have to bring our minds to the present. Only then can we understand their thoughts. If we are thinking about past events, how will we know what the next person is thinking in the present if we are immersed in past events?" After that, the blind man said to the king, "For your majesty, I will tell you the 3 ways through which you can easily understand anyone's thoughts." The blind man said to the king, "O king, the first way is to pay attention to the eyes. The most important thing when talking to someone is to look into their eyes, because the eyes do not speak, but they say a lot if we learn to understand the signs. In a person's eyes, we can know what is going on in their mind, what they are thinking, and what they are about to do. So if you also want to know the thoughts of others, you should focus on their eyes, like their gaze, where they look in which direction. If their eyes wander here and there when you are talking to them, it means that they are looking for a way to escape from the conversation, and someone may be lying if he avoids direct eye contact. It means that he is afraid that his lie will be exposed and people will know the truth. But if his eyes look at you without moving, it is likely that they are honest and interested and want to talk to you and share their thoughts." The blind man continues and tells the king about the second way, saying, "My lord, there is also a second language, which is the language of gestures and the body. To understand a person's thoughts, we need to understand hand gestures and body language when a person speaks. You may have noticed that they keep moving their hands and making gestures in addition to words. Their body language plays an important role in conveying what a person is thinking. Your Majesty, the body and hands can say a lot of things without words. It is like a secret way of speaking where you can seeing what people want and feeling through the little things they are thinking when someone taps their fingers quickly while talking to you. When the fingers make a quick sound on something, it may mean that they are bored in a hurry or want to end the conversation soon. Also, when someone crosses their arms, they may not like you or what you are saying, and they are hiding their thoughts from you. This way of holding their arms is like a wall that keeps their thoughts and feelings from others. By seeing this sign, you can be gentle and careful sometimes. People who touch their faces a lot when they talk to you can help you know what they are thinking. This often means that they are anxious to think seriously. These little touches show you what is going on in their minds and hearts. The blind man continues and tells the king about the third method, saying, "Also look at their facial expressions and how their eyebrows move. If their eyebrows are lowered as they look away, they may be thinking deeply or feeling anxious about something else. If their eyebrows are raised and their eyes become large, they may be surprised or curious about what you are saying. Also look at how big or small their pupils are. The black part of the eye is the pupil. If the pupils are larger, it means that they like you or what you are saying. They are excited or happy. If the pupils are smaller, it means that they do not like you or what you are saying. They will feel uncomfortable or angry. Also, sometimes a person shows different behaviors through their face. If you pay attention to the expressions on a person's face, you can easily understand whether a person is feeling disappointed, very sad, or extremely happy. You can also know what they are feeling inside. All of these things can be determined by their facial expressions. Your Majesty, the face is like a picture that shows what people feel inside, even if they don't say anything. If you want to understand people better, you have to pay attention to these silent signs. The eyes are very important in this when they become small and shiny. The better you get at seeing and understanding these signs on the face, you will be able to know what people are thinking and feeling inside, whether they express their feelings out loud or remain silent. Their faces will show you what is in their hearts. Whether the person speaks with his words or not, you can understand everything with their faces. The blind man continued his speech to the king, and his words impressed the king and the attendees. The king exchanged looks of appreciation and admiration with the blind man. Then the king rose from his seat and said in a voice full of gratitude, "You have been a source of inspiration and wisdom for us. Your advice this time has exceeded our expectations and made us realize many things that we were ignorant of. Thanks to your sound ideas, we will be able to better understand the desires and needs of our people, and this will enhance and strengthen our rule." The king paused for a moment, then ordered the servants to bring an ornate box. He opened the box to reveal a precious gift and shiny gold coins. The king said, "Allow me, O great wise man, to present you with this gift as an expression of our deep gratitude. It is just a simple symbol of the appreciation and respect we have for you." Then the blind man left the king's palace to his brother and to his work in the fields. Perhaps the animals have spoiled their fields in his absence, as you see in life and in your life. In order to be good at understanding others through their bodies and hands, you must be patient, observe carefully, and appreciate the things that you do not. They say it. These are small but important signs, like a quiet book, that show you the feelings and thoughts hidden inside them and allow you to communicate with them better. If we pay attention to these three methods and understand them correctly, we can quickly know what is going on in the person's mind and the extent of attention he pays to words and what is happening in his mind. But before that, you have to do it. Focus your mind and bring it to the present. Only then can you pay attention to all these actions and understand them and realize what is going on in the person's mind. If you are busy with previous events or plans, you will never pay attention to the person's body language, and you will never understand what is going on in their mind and what they are thinking. Remember, knowledge has the ability to improve your life. We wish you a better life day after day. If you like the clip, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and press the like button and the bell button to receive all that is new. Thank you.